We're
Disabled Disney.
Hi, welcome to this week's video for Disabled Disney. We are doing the top 10 disability-friendly attractions in the Disneyland Resort. So that means Disneyland Park and Disney California Adventure Park. So this is our first video with all of us in it. So I'm Melissa.
I'm Jillian.
I'm David.
And welcome to this week's video. So this is a top 10 list, and we're going to be discussing the top 10, again, disability-friendly attractions. The way we decided on this list was ease of being able to stay in your wheelchair. And we'll get started. So number one, we have the Disneyland Railroad. Because if you're in a wheelchair, a manual wheelchair or a motorized wheelchair, or in an ECV, an electronic conveyance vehicle is what Disney calls like the mobility scooters, you can stay in whatever you're in and be on the Disneyland Railroad. They have a ramp and a car with a ramp. You might have to wait a time or two for the train to go around if somebody's in it, but it's you just drive right up on it. It's really easy.
Yeah, they only have room for one handicapped person on each train, so it's possible you'll see the entire standard queue completely empty out while you're waiting for the train to come through. But unfortunately, the way they could do it, it's I think they did the best they could with what they had with the train
at the time,
because they did take something from 1955 and made it ADA compliant, kind of in retrospect. So they had to retrofit it with what they had. They've got enough for one handicapped person to be on there at a time, and that's it. So
but the important part is you can stay in your chair, whatever chair it is, and ride the train.
And whoever you're with can go with you too.
They can fit like one, maybe two people in there. Otherwise, they're going to have to be on the other part of the train. But there's plenty of room on the train to fit however big your party is. And number two we have is the Mark Twain Steamboat, because again, you can stay in whatever chair you're in and just roll on. It is kind of weird because there isn't a ramp and it is a boat, so the boat's going up and down, so you just kind of have to like barrel on through. But you can stay in whatever vehicle you're in, be it a manual wheelchair, a power wheelchair, or an ECV.
And so that way the boat lines up better with the dock. To get on, you have to wait until everybody else is on. And to get off, you wait until everybody else is off. So that way the boat is either lower than the dock or higher than the dock. So that way you're going downward instead of upward.
Yeah, but I've been on it in a regular wheelchair and an ECV, and it's real easy. You just motor yourself on. And that brings us to number three, which we have is the Disneyland Monorail, because they have a ramp to get on that and a cabin that's open to where you can be in your regular wheelchair, your ECV, your power wheelchair, and you just go right on. And they can fit several in the cabin that they have for it. We had a trip with my brother and his family where we fit a manual wheelchair and an ECV, along with, there was 11 of us total. That one can fit everybody in the cabin, and it's really...
We still had room for other people.
Yes.
In the cabin.
So the monorail is... It kind of gives you a view around the parks and stuff. So you can get on it in Tomorrowland and ride it all the way back around to Tomorrowland if you want to, or you can ride it to the station in downtown Disney and get off and go around downtown Disney and get back on and go into Tomorrowland if you want to. Or if you're staying in the Disneyland Hotel, it's a really great way to get into the park.
Oh, yeah, it
You
really
go
is.
to the station there, which is real close to the Disneyland Hotel, Paradise Pier. Either one of those, you go get on it, get into the park, and get off in Tomorrowland, and you can get into Disneyland Park pretty quickly that way if you're staying in either the Disneyland Hotel or Paradise Pier.
I still think the best entrance for getting into either DCA, Disney California Adventures, or Disneyland is going through the Grand Californian Hotel, which is literally right into California Adventure. Yeah, literally.
Yeah, so that only works for California Adventure, not for Disneyland.
Right, but I still think it's the best entrance into the parks.
Yeah,
Because it is a semi-private entrance.
It's
Right.
dedicated for Disney resort guests. So if you're staying at the Disneyland Hotel, at the Paradise Pier Hotel, or at the Grand Californian, you can go in through that dedicated entrance, which we'll talk about more when we're going to do a video on the hotels. So we'll talk about that a little bit more when we do that video. So now we're on to number 4. Number 4 is one of my favorite attractions in the parks, period, and it's the Jungle Cruise.
Jungle Cruise!
And you can stay, they have a ramp that you can go on, and a boat that is accessible to wheelchairs, even power wheelchairs, so you can, depending upon the size. Now, if you have a larger one, it may not fit that, so you might have to transfer to one of their wheelchairs. So these next few rides, it depends on the size of your wheelchair, but you may not have to transfer. If it is a bigger one, you might have to transfer into one of their manual wheelchairs. And all the attractions that have the capability to have a wheelchair on board have a manual wheelchair.
At least one.
So that way, if your chair is too big, they can transfer you into that and still put you on the attraction in a wheelchair.
Also, the attractions where you have to transfer, but they don't allow ECVs into where you're at, such as the Haunted Mansion. They have manual wheelchairs there to where you can transfer directly out of your ECV into one of the manual wheelchairs.
And they'll take you through the attraction to where you can get on. Like, Haunted Mansion has this little, like, walkway that you go through, and it takes you right to the ride vehicles, and it's really cool.
And then number 5 is It's a Small World, because they have a boat that has the capability of taking a wheelchair on it also. And number 6, and we just found this out on our last trip, the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh also has a vehicle that you can put a wheelchair on, and I am going to include some either video or pictures in this because I did it. I stayed in my wheelchair and went on it. It was actually really amazing because it is up higher than the regular seats are. I got to see out a lot more than I would normally do, and they actually let me go around twice being in it, which was nice because we got to go on it twice.
Cast member said we were stuck in honey. It was great.
And it was just a really it was a really nice experience to be able to stay in the wheelchair and not have to transfer into the car. I really enjoyed that. And Winnie the Pooh, the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, is one of my other favorite attractions in the parks. So, bonus! Number 7, this is a ride we all love, Toy Story Midway Mania. You can, again, they have an adapted vehicle that you can stay in your wheelchair, depending upon the size. And you can shoot all the toy stuff. It's basically a video game and a ride together.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So if you like video games, you will love Toy Story Midway Mania. And he's always our top scorer in our party. Normally in the car, and so he gets really high scores on that game. Number 8 is Ariel's Undersea Adventure, and we took video also of this. Depending upon the size of your chair, You might have to transfer to a manual wheelchair that they have there, but you can go. Or if you're in an ECV, this ECVs can't go on. You have to transfer into a manual wheelchair. But it's
That
a
they
moving.
have.
Yes, they have them there. It's a moving walkway, so like if you're like me and you have, I have a problem with my knee to where I can't do the moving walkway, I have to have them stop the ride. They have the ability to put you in a wheelchair, slow down the ride. They have a vehicle they call a chariot that the wheelchair can go on that can hold you and one other person. And they just push the wheelchair up a ramp and they're able to do it without stopping the ride. And anyone from Disney, if you're listening to this, find a way to do this with Haunted Mansion.
Please.
They're the same ride vehicles. Come on.
It's the same type of ride.
And it would be so much easier for me getting on and off Haunted Mansion with, I have to have them stop the ride because I can't do the moving walkway with
Although
my
I
knees.
think they now have to stop the ride completely because the gate won't even open if the rides slow down. I think that was a change that was made.
No, they opened it when the ride slowed down.
That one cast member was talking to that one.
I don't
people,
know.
And that's what they said.
I don't know. But if you can figure out a way to do this on Haunted Mansion, it would be a lot easier for
A lot of
the
people.
wheelchair people. And then you wouldn't have to stop the ride so much. So, number 9 is all of the non-ride attractions, aka shows, like Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, the theaters where like Mickey and the Magical Map
Yeah, I
is
was gonna say
done,
Mickey.
or
Magical Map.
Phantasmic, World of Color. They all have handicap areas where you can stay in your wheelchair and enjoy those shows. And like Animation Academy in
Turtle Talk with Trush. Or
with
Turtle
Crush.
Talk with Crush.
in California Adventure Park. They all have areas where you can stay in your wheelchair and enjoy the show. So Disney calls their rides attractions. So everything is called an attraction, whether it's a show or a ride. So we are including number 9 as every show available because there is handicap accessibility. You can stay in your wheelchair. You can stay in your ECV. You can stay in your power wheelchair.
I think they frown upon SUVs coming into the park.
Probably.
And I think if they did allow SUVs, the only place they would allow that would be Cars Land.
Yeah. But bum. And number 10, our last one, is the Finding Nemo and Friends alternate experience. Now,
It's good if the temperature is cooler inside the room than outside.
okay. So
What she's referring to is the fact that when we went in there, the outside temperature was in the mid to low 70s. Where we were nice and comfortable outside. We get inside the ride, and
It's
the
like
temperature inside
90.
there was set at 86 degrees. They had the heat on. The cast member who was in there was like, I can't even adjust this. So we got about a third of the way through the video, and we were like, it is just way too hot in here. We can't continue to watch this.
So we just left.
Yeah, and they were working on getting maintenance out there to lower the temperature.
okay, but the point of that, of all this is, you get to experience the attraction, a video of what's going on out in the submarines, but because of the way the submarines are, you can't, like, I can't get down the stairs, even being able, I'm not wheelchair bound, but I can't stand or walk for very long. So, and I can't get down the stairs with the way my knees are.
The stairs she's referring to are a very narrow, very steep spiral staircase.
Right, for the submarines.
And furthermore, I am 6 feet tall. I am actually too tall for this ride. I can't. When I'm sitting in there, scrunched down as much as I can, I still cannot see what's going on straight out, which is where everything takes place.
Right. So if you're tall, it's hard to. So there is this alternate experience viewing room where they run a movie essentially of what's going on in the ride. And that's open basically to anyone. So if you want to experience what's going on with the ride, but you can't get down the stairs, or you're in a wheelchair, or you're claustrophobic, they have this little room, and you can just ask them for the alternate experience, and they'll take you in there and start it for you. It's really, it's not as much fun as going on the ride itself, but it is good for handicapped people to have that available. So now we have a few honorable mentions. Our first one is Space Mountain, because they did revamp it a few years ago, and they now have a handicapped car that is offset from the rest of the ride vehicles. And so you do have to transfer to go on Space Mountain, but you can take as much time as you need getting in and out. You're not rushed like you used to be, or the ride would break down, because it's completely separate. And it's really made Space Mountain a much more disability friendly attraction than it used to be. And having been on it the way it was before and now.
Queue. Don't forget about the queue.
Well,
First.
so we're going to talk about queuing in another video. So we'll mention that in that video.
Okay.
But it's a lot more disability friendly than it used to be. A lot more. And the other thing is, most of the ride vehicles for the other attractions, like in Fantasyland and Big Thunder Mountain Railroad,
I was just say Big Thunder,
and most all the other ones have what's called a transfer vehicle, which they have a door on the vehicle, that on at least one that opens wider, to help you have more room. When you're transferring, a lot of these vehicles are kind of tight, and so you ask for the transfer vehicle, and this door will open and give you a lot more room. It's a lot easier for me to get on and off the other attractions using the transfer vehicle, so I always ask for the transfer vehicle on any of the rides in Fantasyland, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, just any of those type of rides they have. And there's a lot other things that you can go on with disabilities that we didn't include, like the raft going over to Tom Sawyer's Island can take any wheelchairs. There's other things that you can do. We just came up with our top 10. These are our top 10 things that we like to do. So if you're disabled, if you're wheelchair bound, or if you're only partially disabled like I am, to where you can't stand very long or walk very far, Disney is very disability friendly. I'm going to be doing another video on like other things, like the companion restrooms and the first aid stations and things that make Disney more disability friendly than other travel destinations. It's one of the reasons we always go to Disney for our vacations, because of how disability friendly they are. Any last thoughts from the Peanut Gallery?
I was looking for the Peanut Gallery.
She's
I
talking
will say
about
this.
me. Sorry.
Can I say my bit now?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Positive?
Yes.
Okay. If there's a ride that you know about, a transfer vehicle that we did not cover, or your favorite ride that you can take your wheelchair on that we missed, please put it down in the comments. Let us know. We're always looking for more information.
Remember, this is for the Disneyland Resort only. I know some of this extends to Walt Disney World, but I'm going to have a lot more information because I'm working on a collaboration with a disabled person for Walt Disney World, and I'll get that to you just as soon as I get all the information from him. And remember, please, go ahead, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel, hit that subscribe button, click the bell notification to be notified when we post live. And
Don't forget to like.
like the video, give us that thumbs up. Please also go to our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter and like or follow us if you haven't done so already. And if you're able to become a patron on Patreon, we have our rewards for Patreon on there. That way we can bring you a lot more content, and make sure to check out our blog. All of the links I'm going to post in the description. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please post it below, and I will try to get to everyone. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate every single view, every single like, every single subscriber, and have a magical day.